Welcome back to the channel. I have with us today a good friend of mine named Ari Waldman. So that makes Ari and Ari. How are you? Welcome.
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. And we're going to play Pass the Mic or Share the Mic, whichever one you choose. And basically, the reason I asked Ari to come on was because he has a very interesting mix of some dynamic situations in his life. First of all, he didn't always look like this with this wonderful, beautiful beard. He used to be a little bit more to the, I guess we would call it modern side, although I never understood what was modern about being modern. You could have Hasidic people that drive Mercedes and modern people that have brand new kippas, but that's besides the point. He is a successful businessman who is brilliant at making deals, making relationships with his customers, making them feel like family. And at the same time, he also has a challenge of stuttering. So I think the mixture of the three makes for a pretty cool story and perhaps some good life advice as somebody that chose the path of becoming Hasidic, somebody that is successful in their relationships, and somebody that is challenged with this, I guess we'll call disease of stuttering. So, what do you think? Can you give us some thoughts on this topic I started?
Yes, I can give you some thoughts. Should I hold the mic? Absolutely. Perfect. First of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ari Waldman. I'm a person who stutters, and I learned this concept from the first time from a intensive stuttering program I went to in Cheney, Washington, about a little over 20 years ago in 2021, where the first thing we did is we walked in front of everybody. We stuttered our brains out. And that's all we did the first week. No techniques, nothing. Knocked on doors, just uttered. So it helps me to break the ice, to make it okay. I'm going through what some people call as a relapse because I'm trying to make the stuttering okay again. This was the stuttering piece. The Hasidic piece, I don't know what being Hasidic means. I'm still trying to learn what it means to be a Hasid. I don't know at this point. But my Rabbi Yochanan Morazov, and Eliyahu Mizrahi before that turned me on to Hasidus, and I learned the value of being connected with Hashem. And every experience I try to reveal Hashem. In terms of real estate, sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not successful. I love networking with people. I love lifting people up. I started working at Millennium Realty Group, which specializes in 2003, and then I got licensed in 2004, that specializes working with fashion tenants, focusing in office and showroom leasing in the garment center. Now I work with tenants throughout Manhattan, mainly in office space, sometimes retail, and occasionally some industrial deals. I'm starting to do a little bit more work in Brooklyn as well now. Since I live in Brooklyn, and the company I work for, Lean Associates New York, has some listings in Brooklyn. And making deals, especially in this climate, is very difficult. It takes a lot of creativity. But I need to let down the guidelines for my customer that this is the deal. And I need to be very fair but firm with my customer that they're not going to do any better. And sometimes they'll say, this is the bottom line deal. I can't do any more. So sometimes I have to go back to the owner. Sometimes the owner will compromise, and sometimes the owner will walk, or sometimes my customers on a holding pattern, they may come back and say, we found something else. Let's wait it out. Let's think about it. Or we're going to pass on this opportunity. We'll go on to a new opportunity. Am I the best on the planet? No. But I try to make this work for now, and we'll see where this goes.
Wonderful. All right, thank you. That was very complete, short and sweet. what I found interesting was that right now, while we're interviewing, you didn't have such a challenge, and I think that has something to do with what I'm learning from some of the people you introduced me to, that when you handle a confrontational situation like an interview or such a thing, sometimes it's easier not to stutter because you, how did he say, you work off of the other person or work off of the challenge, so it makes stuttering less of a possibility.
Every situation is different. Sometimes interviews are challenging for me, and other times they're not. And I find that when I just let the stuttering go and I allow myself to, and I don't hold back, it's much easier to handle the most difficult situations. Now I'm trying to break apart how not to hold the stuttering back. And today I'm on, as you saw on Facebook, day 2 of my stuttering journey, where I was focusing on eye contact, letting the stuttering all the way out, and stuttering really loud as opposed to holding back and repressing my stuttering. And the key is, for me, maybe everybody's different, not to repress my stuttering, because I'm going to be nervous about stuttering and I may go into panic mode, or I may fear a feared word or a situation, as opposed to not going into panic mode. It is what it is, and letting it all the way out, and I have nothing to lose. I'm still trying to figure out how not to repress my stuttering completely. And it's going to take some time, but it's going to take some breaking apart and breaking through the iceberg, because Joseph Sheehan, who's a stutterer and who was a stutterer and a psychologist and a speech therapist out of UCLA, talked about the iceberg analogy, that with the stutterer, there's some things that go on, interruptions. That's the tip of the iceberg. What one doesn't see as the listener is the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that go on beneath the iceberg, and what's going on underneath that needs to be unraveled. Yeah, so I'm still trying to figure that out and trying to tackle that. I had one journey in 2020, and I was unraveling a lot, and I'm starting to work on unraveling this journey.
Very interesting. So I have one more question for you in relation to Hasidism with stuttering. And so as you were saying, you don't really know what Hasidism is. And I think that people say that when they're past a certain point. It's like when people know less, they think they know more. And when people know more, they understand how little they know. Just to clarify your statement, I think it was a point of humility. But I'm, a massive part of being any type of religion, especially Hasidism, is prayer, which, I know that you do an enormous amount of prayer and, psalms and everything else. And so I'm wondering, is reading easier than speaking, or is there some sort of like mantra to it, some sort of like almost like a hum or a something soothing that makes it possible, or is it as challenging for you sometimes to pray as it is to have a conversation? That's
It depends. Wait, okay. It depends in terms of the prayer, because the challenging part is, as a stutterer, I have a natural tendency to want to change around words, circumlocute. There's nothing to change around. The words are the words. So in that sense, it's actually sometimes more challenging. It's less challenging because there's a set script, and it's me and the words. So I say the words and I move on, as opposed to a conversation, even though maybe I change around the words, hopefully I don't. It's very dynamic. It's very fluid. So sometimes that could be harder, and sometimes the reading could be harder for different reasons.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. In terms of being a chassid, something I learned about being a chassid is a chassid, by its very nature, is being a truly pious person. And I learned that Yaakov Avinu was more of a chassid than Yosef, who was a tzaddik. And I remember one of his children, Yosef, was very careful about having relations with his wife because he wanted to follow the exact letter of the law. And Yaakov Avinu, he wanted to do not only what was just, but was right for the situation. So he took everything into account, and that's what made Yosef a tzaddik, the tzaddik, as opposed to Yaakov, who we learned from Hasidus, was more of the chassid. Also, another example is, I remember learning in Hasidus an example how the chassid will take that extra step, as opposed to going to visit one sick person down the block. The tzaddik may learn the whole tractate of Gemara. The chassid, he may travel to North Carolina and do help somebody complete a siyum shas, so that the chassid may not do what's perfect halachically, but he will take that extra step. He or she will take that extra step to do which is beyond the norm, beyond the possibility. So it's that extra step that makes somebody a chassid. A tzaddik will follow the exact letter of the law, what it says in the Torah, what it says in the Gemara, and will follow it to a T. This is my understanding.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not yet. In terms of doing Tehillim every day, sometimes I'm good about it, sometimes I'm not. I've been doing a lot better about going to Minyan. I'm trying more and more to recite the Rebbe's 12 Pesukim. I'm not always consistent about that. Brachos, much better now, except for after when I recite Shema. Not 100%, but this is the first year I'm going to the mikvah. I'm at 5 days a week. I'm starting to do the Negel Wasser right by my bed without a bracha when I wake up in the morning after the Moda'ani, and then I do the Negel Wasser with no bracha. And then I go into the bathroom, brush, and go into the sink in the kitchen, and I wash 3 times on each side with the bracha and the Asher Yatzar. So it's a journey for me. I'm not where most religious people are, but through Hasidus, I'm getting motivated. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on, and it was a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me another opportunity to speak and share my thoughts, feelings, and emotions with you.
You got it. Thanks.